I saw Marcel Marceau at Royce Hall, and it was the first time I realized that anybody could get laughs without words, and I was fascinated by it, and I loved him. And I don't know where I got the balls to go backstage and ask him if I could learn how to do this in Los Angeles. But he gave me the name of someone who taught it, and it was Richmond Shepard. And so I started studying with him at the age of 16. But he also taught improv, and I studied that too. And he eventually formed a company that started performing around town. So I was the kid in the group. And we were performing like in parks in South Central and East LA, and that was an experience. We were actually hired and paid money for that. I graduated high school. I was a terrible student. I didn't realize at the time that I had learning disabilities because they didn't have names for that. But I had no intention of going to college, and even if I had wanted to, I didn't have the grades for it. I was kind of lost when I graduated high school, but I knew that I wanted to be a performer. But at the same time, everybody who graduated Beverly Hills High School probably wanted to be a performer. And a lot of my friends or people that I observed were the children of famous people. And there's a certain inherent tragedy in that. And so I really didn't want to admit to myself that I wanted to do that. But I got some practical advice from someone who said, look, write to drama schools, see if you can audition. And I got responses, and I had auditions for the Royal Academy, Bristol Old Vic, and London Academy. And in order to do these auditions, I had to go to New York. So this was the first time I had left home on my own. I was 18. And I auditioned for these 3 schools, and they had 300 people audition, and out of that they took 80 people. That was a preliminary. I made that group, and then the final auditions were in London. So I sail off to London on my own and did not make the final cut for any of the schools. So I'm like on the phone with my parents sobbing, and my mother says, well, honey, why don't you just go over to Marcel Marceau's school? And I thought, well, all right, but I was partially hoping that he wouldn't, have me, because I was scared. I was scared to be living on my own in a foreign country. But fortunately, he said, oh, yes, join, come. And it was an amazing experience. I learned fencing and acrobatics and ballet, and it was 5 hours a day of rigorous physical, training. And but it closed, unfortunately. Sadly, it was a situation where a lot of the students didn't have money, and he was kind of supporting them. But it was an incredible experience.